afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the thematic session of Skills for EU Green Transition. Before we get started, I would like to provide you technical information regarding the interpretation. We have interpretation in Turkish and English. And for those who would like to listen in English, you should choose the English option. But if it is in Turkish, you should choose the Korean option. Türkçe tercümeyi dinlemek için Korece opsiyonunu, Korean opsiyonunu seçmeniz gerekiyor. And the moderator of our session is Mr. Adam, and I would like to give the floor to Adam. Please.
Thank you very much, Oya. So I hope that now we can start without a problem. So welcome everybody to our session today. At this one, we are going to discuss a very important topic of the skills for the EU green transition. So my name is Adam Gajek. I work in EUROCHAMBRES as a policy advisor, and I have a pleasure to moderate this session. So at this session today, we have six speakers representing different institutions in the EU and also in Turkey. So representing the EU perspective, we have Ms. Tatiana Babrowskiene from the European Economic and Social Committee, who represents the trades union perspective there. So we're going to hear from her. Then we also have Ms. Manuela Gelling, who is the Director for Skills in the DG EMPL in the European Commission. Then we'll have also 4 Turkish speakers. So Mr. Çetin Demirkazik, who's a Secretary General of TESS, Confederation of Turkish Tradesmen and Craftsmen. Then Mr. Gökhan Yetkin, who represents, he's the president of MUSIAT, Association of Independent Industrialists and Businessmen in Turkey. Then we have 2 speakers, female speakers, who will introduce the topic of women empowerment in business in terms of the green skills, which are Ms. Emine Erdem, so president of Kadiger, a Women Entrepreneurs Association of Turkey, and also Ms. Nurten Öztürk, president of TOBB, Women Entrepreneurs Council. So these are our speakers. Ms. Gelling is going to join us a little bit later because she has other commitments, but we are now able to start with our webinar. So first of all, I wanted to say some things about the topic. So of course, we are today on the beginning of this big, huge transition into a more greener economy in the EU. And of course, we know that green economy and economy itself is people. So to be able to change anything, we need people who are prepared with skills to be able to first adapt and also succeed in this new economy. And of course, there are some sectors that are of course very connected with the change. Energy sector, transportation sector, but in reality, all sectors and all businesses or entrepreneurs, all workers need to adapt to climate change and also think how they can make their business services more environmentally friendly and to adjust to new requirements and also new expectations of the people. So there is of course lots of reports and lots of data on what is happening right now. Some of them say that we can lose lots of millions of jobs globally if we don't act properly on the supply of skills for the green transition. So the best solution is if we act properly, we will know what kind of skills we developed, how we do it. We can not only lose jobs, but we can also gain them in many sectors. So this is why the EU is rolling out the Green Deal. It has lots of different ideas on how we can improve the skills in Europe for this green change. There are lots of ideas for upskilling and reskilling of workers, for enhancement of employability of the youth. EU funds are prioritizing this approach. The currently being developed national plans for resilience and recovery prioritizes as well. So there is lots of going on, and it's also very good to know about that. But of course, this whole event is about Turkey. So we are going to look at Turkey from the green economy perspective. It's a country which is, of course, rapidly developing, but also is a big trade partner to Europe. So, of course, there are discussions that how this new EU growth strategy would impact the trade relations between EU and Turkey, how Turkish products and services should change. But also there are discussions how this can be actually a change driver for Turkey to become more competitive economy in the world. So we're also going to look at the aspect on how what's the role of women in this change, because of course, as women are more or less 50% of the population, they are disadvantaged as workers, as business owners, everywhere. So there is also a big role for them to play, and also for the transition itself to empower women in making sure that they can succeed from in that change. So we are going to look at all these issues all together today for the next 1 hour and a half. First, we will have an opportunity to listen to our speakers, and also for all of you, for the audience, you are able to ask your questions to our speakers in the option Q&A at the bottom of the screen. And at the end, we are going to ask our panelists and pose the questions that you shared with us. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for being here, and we will move to Ms. Tatiana Babrauskiene, who represents the European Social and Economic Committee, has been working there for many years, has worked on different issues, but I know that recently has also been working on a report that addresses the skills for the EU changes, but also for the green change. So Tatiana, as your rapporteur of this report, which is called "Promoting Skills for a More Just, Cohesive, Sustainable, Digital and Resilient Society." You've talked with many people, you heard many different opinions. So what is, according to you, the role of green skills in the entire process of making Europe more cohesive and more green? So Tatiana, please.
Thank you, Adam. And you're rightly pointed that this green transition is just happening now. We're observing now, also, of course, situation in the countries is different, because each country has very specific natural and human capital, and therefore the responses to this green transition in the countries is different. However, I think one thing is similar among these countries is the need of the green skills. So the society is facing at the moment a lot of challenges. We see also COVID pandemic, which is adding to unemployment, and due to this, we already see the demand and skills demand on upskilling and reskilling of the European workforce, and this also seen in this green and also digital transition of industry terms. So the EU policy now have to proper respond to this, and the implementation and national level of these policies should be also adequate. So you mentioned the Recovery and Resilience Fund. So it's also, we underlined in our opinion, that this facility should be used, and other investment, of course, should support this resilient society within the digital and green transition of the economy. So what we mean by this is, of course, improving the quality and inclusiveness of education and training systems, institutions, programs, And we need to respond to the needs of all learners at all stages and all sectors of education, starting from preschool education already, and not forgetting about adult education and lifelong learning. So to improve the green skills, competences, and attitudes of everyone in Europe, the EU member states need to connect environmental policies to educational policies. However, it's not the case. We see now that the environmental policies are aside and the educational policies are aside. So we need the ministry, we need the political level to collaborate, and they have to set up a national green skills and competence strategy. This is essential. However, such strategy doesn't exist even at European level, at EU level. We need strategies like a council recommendation on the green skills and competences. So, of course, we need indicators and we need benchmarks on green skills and competences that could be developed at the EU level on climate change awareness, on environmental responsibility, on sustainable development, in order to help countries to incorporate these green skills and competences, and to also help this transformation of education systems, because we definitely see now that, especially after this pandemic, when education went to online mode, we need that transformation is necessary. And it's a very, very right time to start this transformation and incorporate green skills and competences. So, of course, we propose to regularly adjust the indicators and benchmarks of the European education area you're all probably aware of, which is very ambitious. And we need to add a necessary one also on green skills and competences, on learning about sustainable development. So something which country, which member states could easily report, also introduce some national measures, also get some funding to support this. And of course, nobody should be left behind. We speak about support for socially, economically disadvantaged students and learners. So to sum up, I would say knowledge, skills, and competence development need not only to serve the needs of the labor market and the prospects of a total quality-based competitiveness, but also to prepare learners to be active, democratic citizens, and to help to reduce social and education inequalities, which we see now they're growing. We see how those who are motivated continue to learn online and benefit from this system, and those who are lacking motivation or from disadvantaged families are not getting the support and lacking motivation. Therefore, they are left behind. So to this end, besides ensuring the improvement of EU citizens' digital and green skills, environmentally oriented digital media literacy, let's say, is like, put it like this, is crucial to ensure that citizens are able to navigate through the complexity of today's world. And the world becomes more and more complex. We observe this, and people need support. So there is no other way from our side as policymakers, as all the stakeholders, to make this transformation period to have this digital and green transition beneficiary for everyone. So, and I of course invite to read the whole opinion, because we have more than 20 recommendations in the opinion. The opinion will be adopted in SOC section next month, and we have study group meeting on Friday, this Friday on the 12th. So it's quite also interesting, not interesting, but it's important recommendation, which I hope that the European institutions and member states will take into consideration. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Tatiana, for your insights. So it's probably very difficult work to be able to merge all of different opinions. in that one recommendation. And also, from what you say, it's there is no like one green change. Yeah, there's like lots of different changes going on, and they're all interrelated. So we can't look at one separately. It's very interesting to see how we are working on that in Europe, and it's great that European businesses and and trade unions are doing it in the European Social Economic Committee. But now let's move to Turkey to see how they are doing this. So now I would like to ask Mr. Çetin Demirkazik to answer my second question. So you're a Secretary General of the Confederation of Turkish Tradesmen and Craftsmen. So you know very well how small companies as well, but many different companies are doing right now, and how they are preparing for this big change. So I wanted to ask you, like, basing on your experience as a leader in a business world in Turkey, if you can tell us how Europe can actually support Turkey in this green transition. What are your ideas there? But also, maybe we can divert the question, and you can also tell us what Europe can gain, what we can learn from Turkish companies when entering this this transition to a new greener economy. So, please.
Çok teşekkür ediyorum bu imkanı verdiğiniz için.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, distinguished guests. As you know, EU Green Deal, the European Union, especially regarding reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. Well, since we need a unity on that, since it requires a big effort, are making huge efforts. So while it's important to direct the private capital, new approaches are needed. It's very evident. Wow, this is something that we all can predict and observe. As you know, Turkey is a candidate country for the EU, and while the environmental issues are much bigger than the EU can handle by itself, as you will appreciate, the environmental issues is not the matter of one single country, and cannot lead to a solution by only one country or only a couple of countries coming together. It needs a global approach. It needs a unified approach, a collective approach to solve the environmental issues. Well, of course, the trade, regarding the trade partners and the neighbors of the EU, well, yes, it's making certain recommendations about which measures should be taken. And while population, expertise, financial resources, funds, we have many variables at hand. And these variables, competency of these variables are different for each country. However, there are gains and experiences that the EU indeed have acquired during this process, which will really be important to us too, as we believe. And of course, this situation indicates that we are obliged to take certain measures in the future as Turkey as well, because considering that we are making half of our export and half of our foreign trade to the European Union, so when the European Union is presenting a climate focused change to all its partners and makes recommendations for the others to devise similar strategies. Regarding customs union, under the framework of the customs union, this issue includes contains an uncertainty, and it is to be eliminated right ahead, because if we're not a part of it, we cannot be a part of the roadmap too. So the developments in the coming years, I believe, will help us have a more positive outlook. So I think any development will be a condition for us to become a full member to the European Union. We can envisage that. So for a country who has the goal to become a full member to the European Union, this seems as a process that we have to overcome. So this criteria concerns our country very closely, but also it concerns the Turkish tradesmen and craftsmen, and it will bring certain responsibilities on Turkish tradesmen and craftsmen. We all know how environmental issues are important, especially in this last period. I mean, as you know, the very first impacted segment by the pandemic is the small enterprises with small capital. A big part of the small enterprises are members to us. We define them as tradesmen and craftsmen, Turkish tradesmen and craftsmen. Many of us will only be able to, tackle the problems brought by the pandemic maybe in years, because it's obvious that we won't be able to achieve the economic welfare as soon as the pandemic ends. It will take years. So in these years, when we go toward an agreement, regarding the additional liabilities on the tradesmen and craftsmen, I believe we should be acting and behaving more sensitive. That's our wish, because the segment that we are representing, indeed, is much more have much more restricted resources compared to the larger segments, and also has limited access to information and knowledge. As was mentioned before, in Turkey, we represent the tradesmen and craftsmen of the small enterprises located in Turkey. Regarding the tradesmen and craftsmen, I believe that we are sharing our problems. I don't think that there is a difference between the large enterprises and small enterprises when it comes to problems. But as I have said before, small enterprises have a limited access to information and knowledge, and because they're much more vulnerable in their capital structure, they have harder time fulfilling certain activities. So we have to ask more external support. So while I'm making this intervention on behalf of my confederation, as you know, the enterprises in Turkey, almost 99% of the enterprises in Turkey is comprised of small and medium enterprises, I have to say. So therefore, since 99% of all enterprises in Turkey being small and medium-sized enterprises, while we have to make this transformation from bottom to top so that we can configure our future more healthily.
This transformation is inevitable, and of course, the entrepreneurs should be supported. And for this transformation, I'm sure and aware that the European Union has initiated some support programs, and the fair distribution of such programs and support initiatives are distributed fairly. And of course, I mean, the Turkish entrepreneurs should be taken into account while doing so, because we're representing 2 million people, 2 million entrepreneurs here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Green Deal, EU Green Deal, is based on sustainable goods. And this plan also covers and underlines the recyclability. So, I mean, reuse of all these products and being recirculated is one of the sine qua non of this plan. And for preparing the retail sector for the green economy, there are many steps to be taken. However, from production to sales, there is a very long distance to cover. Green buildings, green production facilities, green logistics. I mean, these are only few to count, that comes to our mind. And this plan also encourage the consumers to reuse, to share, and when necessary, redesign. And as the of course the merchants and the craftsmen, I mean, we represent this big mass of those merchants and craftsmen in Turkey. So they are the people to recycle, reuse, redesign. So we're representing such a big mass, such a big crowd, I would say. Without the merchants and craftsmen, we would be going through a lot of challenges. We would all appreciate it. I mean, we're not like the big, authorized dealers. Instead of changing the spare parts, we reuse them, always repairing them. That's the mentality behind being a craftsman. We have this inherited idea, in notion in all of us. So the merchants and the craftsmen touch everyday life our citizens, from the morning to the evening. I mean, everything we repair come back to your homes. So this way, when we repair things, it comes back to your houses and to the green economy. I mean, these people pose a important crowd, as I said. Ladies and gentlemen, change is at the door. But this change, I mean, it was evident anyway. And it's inevitable, it's indispensable. So if it is indispensable, then everyone should be covered, all the merchants and craftsmen. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for addressing us with that. It's very interesting to see how the small medium enterprises in Turkey are doing and how they are preparing for it. And of course, the green economy will be a huge change to Europe, but also through Europe to all the neighboring countries. So thank you very much for this. And now we will move to Mr. Gökhan Yetkin, who represents Association of Independent Industrialists and the Businessmen. So with you, I would like to ask a similar question. So we're also interesting how you think that in your sector, in your opinion, Turkey is preparing for the transition, how Europe can support Turkey, and we can maybe learn something. Thank you.
Teşekkür ederim Sayın Türkiye Odalar.
Thank you. I would like to thank distinguished President of TOBB, distinguished NGO representatives, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend my deepest regards to all of you. And it's a great pleasure to be a part of this session where such an important topic is discussed. So, in general sense, as you know, climate change is no longer a theory, and the presumed results are already there, unfortunately. Everybody is aware of what's going on around the world, and all the world, turned its eyes to the climate change. And the pandemic, on the other hand, it made us question our lifestyle and how we live. We have scarce resources across the world, and people, human beings, when they try to improve their quality of life, they also trigger climate change and environmental distortion. And from today, we all understand that we need to stop this. European Union Green Deal is not just about the sustainable economy of Europe. It's about climate change, fighting against environmental deterioration, having a fair and inclusive system. So I think the definition itself is very well made. And it has, of course, a lot of regulations around it. I believe this is the right way to do it. European Union Green Deal will be a guide, a manual for the rest of the world. That's why we need to put our greatest effort as well as sensitivity to this direction. We should be motivated to do so. Of course, I mean, the Green Deal has been discussed everywhere nowadays. And I mean, this is the first time maybe in my life that I see such an adaptation of an issue such quickly. Why? When I ask myself, why? I come to see that the economic dimension as well as the environmental dimension and all the other dimensions cause or trigger great motivation for the industrialists. So after this brief introduction, I'll just touch on the topic itself, the very topic of this session, the skills to be developed, the sectoral skills to be developed. So as to improve such skills, motivation is much needed. And I mean, how can we encourage and motivate people to improve their skills? First of all, in the eyes of the employees, there are some factors. There are some, motivating factors for the employers. And also, in terms of the new businesses it will create, there might be some other factors playing in. For the skill development from the eyes, from the perspective of the employees, I mean, because it poses a great potential for a new business area for the young people, I mean, I think it's very promising for the young people because the young graduates, I mean, in addition to advanced engineering, they don't see any potential in terms of making a difference. That's why they focus on digital and media. And in the industrial sectors, a qualified labor force is missing because, I mean, they don't see it as an area where they can differentiate themselves. But Green Deal, bringing in new business areas, will help introduce qualified labor force to this area. In the eyes of the businesses, it will be an obliged, I mean, harmonization, of course, both in terms of efficiency and environmental conditions to be met. There are measures to be taken, investments to be made, personnel training to be given, adopting, creating a market. I mean, if you want not to lose value, you need to have some adaptive training as well as transfer of qualified people. That's what I believe. And in terms of new business areas, these should be supervised. The regulations should be supervised and certified. So this might itself be a new business area because supervision and certification is one of the skills to be gained throughout this process because it will be much needed. And the occupational skills thereof will need to be developed. So novelties always excite people. That's why I believe the adaptation will be a quick one. The Green Deal is discussed in every platform nowadays. And at the NGO level or the foundations level, this really shows the potential to develop, to improve. And as the association, we're working on certain projects. And those projects, although they're not named the Green Deal projects, they're serving for the very purpose. It's not, I mean, it wasn't started or initiated under the framework of the Green Deal. However, they fulfill the conditions of the Green Deal. They are serving for the very purpose of the Green Deal. So I'm very pleased to say so, that we have certain projects to that direction. And we have the agricultural lands, arable lands project going on, a healthy, indeed, agriculture, using clean energy for this purpose. and meeting the health care criteria and conditions. And I mean, having qualified labor force at rural areas, livable rural areas, there are, I mean, projections for this project. And of course, this means we are supporting the Green Deal with such projects, such efforts. And for the mid-size industrial areas or zones developed, we will have healthier work environments. You know, the investors that are growing, I mean, from small enterprises to mid-size or larger enterprises, the candidates of the larger SMEs, you know, they need to have healthier occupational environment, and they, I mean, they can also make joint projects for environmental investment if they can't do it alone. And this is another project we're working on. And over the last 4 years, we've been working on a agricultural integration process from, I mean, creating or generating energy from agricultural wastes, producing fertilizers and feed, animal feed from the, you know, recycled wastes of agriculture. These are very environmental projects, I would say. And there are some investments in these areas as well. So we are trying to roll out such projects to the rest of the country. Of course, it all comes down to qualified labor force or Green Deal. You know, we need to, I mean, have training hubs where we can train such skills. And these projects cover such hubs as well. After secondary school, or starting with secondary school, we need to guide our students, pupils, to, you know, to the right direction. That's why, I mean, we cooperate with, you know, with certain trade and occupational high schools to, I mean, help them specialize in certain fields. And our members make donations to such high schools so as to transform them and to help the students gain certain skills. I believe these are also good examples of adding value to the system. So Green Deal is the title. Although we don't give the title a Green Deal to all these projects, in every area we see some you know, missing points to be intervened, and we see that that really overlaps with the Green Deal itself. And some employees identify some missing points, and they just encourage us to focus on that direction. But when it comes to the Green Deal, I believe it will be setting a better framework for the whole effort we are paying here and make it more systematic. I believe it will be a great gain for all of us. So both our projects, I mean, include some skill development, and I mean, these skills will, this information will be shared with those who demand such services. So I just tried to summarize my ideas and what we do in this area. With your permission, I'll give the floor back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yetkin, for your address. It's great to hear that you're already working on projects that lead to green transition, and they also have a component of the skills development. That's certainly very useful and allows to manage all things at once. Thank you very much for this. We are now going to move to a topic about empowerment of women. But before, I have two announcements. So first of all, I would like to remind about an opportunity to ask questions to our panelists. You can do it through the Q&A option on Zoom. Another one is that we would like to inform you about an also interesting initiative of the International Chamber of Commerce, which is called SME Climate Hub. It's a website that provides many interesting information on how businesses can adapt to the climate change, where they can also make a pledge about decreasing the carbon emissions by 2030. So there's lots of interesting information there. Would like to encourage you to have a look at this website. So once again, it's called SME Climate Hub, and it's developed by International Chamber of Commerce. So now I would like to move to another speaker, which is Ms. Emine Erdem, who is President of Women Entrepreneurs Association of Turkey. So I would like to start talking to you about role of female entrepreneurs in the green transition. So you're an experienced leader of the female entrepreneurs in Turkey. So what do you think is the role for the female entrepreneurs in a green transition in Turkey?
Thank you, Mr. Adam. Dear distinguished ministers, ambassadors, and business leaders, and all valuable speakers and participants, I would like to thank Turkey-EU Business Dialogue Project and today's EU-Turkey High-Level Business Dialogue, as it is very timely to cooperate and work together for our common economic and political interests. I hope all of you, your families, and your beloved ones are all safe and healthy. Since the beginning of 2020, the world has been passing through really hard times. But I know women get stronger in times of crisis, and I believe this new normal will bring new opportunities to all of us. In Turkey, when KAGİDER was established in 2002, women entrepreneurship rate was 4%, and today it is 13%. We know that there is a long way to go, but there is an upward trend in terms of women entrepreneurial activity. Dear participants, we are aware of the need to create positive impact and stress the role of women in green transition in Turkey and in Europe. We witness a fast-changing environment for businesses thanks to digitalization and green transition. Women entrepreneurs need to develop their skills and take advantage of the current opportunities and easiness born by the digitalization and green transition. Having a gender-inclusive approach and ensuring the sustainability and inclusiveness of action plans would help us achieve our goals to grow our business potential and trade. Investing in the development of women-owned businesses in Turkey should be a top priority. Apart from the women's condition in private businesses, we see that women are underrepresented in public procurements. Governments are to realize and take action against this situation. As KAGİDER, we also pursue relevant projects regarding the inclusiveness of women in all opportunities provided by both public and private sector. However, we call all the stakeholders to highlight this issue and work for the equal opportunities for economic growth within the green transition we are willing to build in Europe. The set of core skills necessary for green jobs, where female entrepreneurs of Turkey will facilitate. The change is in leadership to drive change, environmental awareness to learn about sustainable development, entrepreneurial skill to seize the opportunities of low carbon solutions, and also marketing skills to promote greener products and services. With the gender inclusive researches, the budgeting, our objective of a strong, sustainable, and balanced growth is possible. All we need is supporting women's social and economic empowerment. Regarding women as equal partners and key economic actors, highlighting the needs of women in the policies and investing in the education of girls have been reported to have a good impact on the economic conditions in countries in the long term, and will definitely have the same impact on the green transition. all public, private institutions, and international organizations should acknowledge that the full and equitable participation of women in green transition is critical to a faster socio-economic recovery and transition. The potential opportunities which the green economy holds for women participation in green growth relate to green production and manufacturing processes such as elimination chemical inputs and hazardous working conditions, green consumerism by creating new business opportunities and markets, MSME development, and female entrepreneurship, including new professions, product development, and use of green technology.
Adam Bey,
Do you need another question? Dear Adam, do you need to ask another question or?
Sanırım bağlantıda bir problem var.
I guess he has a problem about his connection. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
for your fruitful and valuable contribution. I'm sure Adam would prepare extra questions, but let's give some time to his participation. And now I would like to give the floor to Nurten Öztürk, President of TOBB Women Entrepreneurs Council. And the floor is yours, Nurten.
Saygıdeğer katılımcılar.
Distinguished participants, I'd like to salute you on behalf of the TOBB Women Entrepreneurs Council with respect. Indeed, my presence here, my belief in the power of women, and to be a comrade to what is to be a comrade for what the women will do in the future. As you know, there is no other world. This is our world, all of us. And so far we have wasted the resources of the world so thoughtlessly. We were all selfish and we couldn't know how to say we rather than I, and rather than word rather than my country. And unfortunately we couldn't help our unfortunately our children now feel all the problems that we have to encounter so far. Yes, the individuals have a lot to do, but of course we cannot act alone. Everyone, the governmental organizations, private institutions, and individuals should work together, and the women, who constitute 50% of the world population, plays a major role in all this. That's why, yes, first of all, without gender discrimination and taking this EU Green Deal seriously, and everyone has to do what they are supposed to do. But on the other hand, without making any discrimination regarding age, race, or whatsoever, we also need to focus on educating and raising the awareness of the women who are the architects of life. Well, in our country, indeed, we are making great efforts in order to strengthen the role of the women. Since 2000, especially in OPET, that I'm a founder of, the biofuel oil distribution company, I have initiated a project for clean toilets, and I try to explain how important to be clean in that respect. And right now in the TOBB, we have initiated a project called Our Business is Clean, İşimiz Temiz. And for micro enterprises, especially those who have encountered great challenges during the pandemic, in order for them to renew themselves and for them to go back to competition. With our project called Our Business is Clean, we started to educate the micro enterprises. Our purpose is to make it widespread and roll out to the whole country. And of course, macro companies have certain standards about the environment, about being clean. So we want the micro enterprises to be auditable in that respect for cleanness, and to provide suitable projects for that and help them offer a better service to the wider society. Beside that, our women are really are making great efforts, but also they are facing great challenges. Looking at the world, especially in terms of gender equality, in order for women and men 100 years to be equal, 100 years have to elapse. Well, of course, you cannot even think of that possibility. In order for them to get equal pay for the equal job, according to World Economic Council reports, 250 years should elapse. So, well, now that you say, yes, we exist together and we have to fight each front line together, but then there is this, distinction. First of all, we have to eliminate this gender inequality. We have to value the human beings as they are, as human beings. Well, children, women, old people, young people, all of us should have to provide support equally and focus on the solution. As a fuel oil distribution company, we do certain corporate social responsibility projects, and we were specifically realistic. To what extent are we harming the nature? We looked on that, and what we can do to somehow eliminate that. And we have seen that in order for a vehicle that is using fuel oil to compensate the harm they are giving to future, they have to plant 12,000 trees a year. And we asked how many of us plant that number of trees. And for those who buy fuel oil from us, we started plant trees on behalf of them. So this led to planting of millions of trees. And our consumers, our customers also have really been impressed by that. And they said, well, thank you very much. Now I have a planted tree. And thanks to that, I am doing that as well. And they said, I will continue that. Yes, it's important to make a start, to raise the awareness, to ensure the continuity, and that continuity should also be controlled and supervised with tight measures. We all have to assume responsibilities and tasks. While, of course, as TOBB, Women Entrepreneurs Council, we have organizations in 81 provinces all around Turkey. We are raising the awareness of our women, and we're trying to do what we have to do together, all together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your intervention, Ms. Öztürk. It's great to hear that you're doing so many projects for empowerment of women there, and it really works. So that's great. I also would like to apologize for the fact that I froze in the middle of a session, just in between intervention of Ms. Adam. I'm very sorry. Unfortunately, it works sometimes in these digital times. So I would like to stay in this very interesting topic of the role of women in the green transition. So I would like to go back to Ms. Erdem and to ask her. I would like to ask her about the partnerships with EU businesses, because you already talked about an important role that this transition plays in Turkey, and how in parallel women are being empowered and how they can succeed thanks to that. Ms. Öztürk talked about the projects that she's implementing that relate to environment, and where also role of women is really big. But we are here talking today about EU-Turkey relations. So how can these relations between businesses in Turkey and EU actually help the Turkish women in their businesses and role in the green transition?
Of course, Mr. Adam, the partnerships with EU businesses, in particular companies, run by women will play a significant role in the green transition of the Turkish and EU economy. Closing gender inequality gaps reaps huge economic benefits. Studies demonstrate that improvements to women's equality can create up to 10.5 million new jobs by 2050, of which 70% will be occupied by women. This will lead to an increase in EU GDP per capita by 6.1 to 9.6%, amounting to a total gain of 1.95 and 3.15 trillion euros. Turkey's EU accession process should find its rightful path, and the positive agenda initiated by EU institutions should facilitate the modernization of customs union to enable partnerships with EU businesses, in particular for companies run by women. Customs union covering all industrial goods, but not addressing agriculture except processed agricultural products, services, or public procurement, has certainly excluded women and women entrepreneurs from the potential benefits. And this has a reflection on women entrepreneurship and women-owned businesses and SMEs in the EU and Turkey. A modernized customs union will be provided new market opportunities in green transition for women entrepreneurs in Turkey and in the EU, and would also give women entrepreneurs access to international markets, allow women entrepreneurs to promote their jobs and to increase their business volume, and develop national and international policies to include women entrepreneurs in the supply chain and create an environment where all the actors will cooperate and take action. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated once again that times of crisis, women's livelihoods and jobs are more at risk. Due to the child care, elderly care, and housework that are attributed to women, there is a growing burden on women. Many women business owners face the risk of closing down their businesses. And global parameters shows that women tend to own small or medium businesses, and the crisis mostly harm the SMEs. And that's why giving importance to women's special needs in the governmental policies in Turkey and in the EU is very important to sustain stable economic growth while we are preparing our market needs and policies on the green transition. Women-owned SMEs contribute significantly to the economies in which they operate. Being aware on the stereotypes and existing dominant male representation in certain fields, rather than enhancing the existing inequalities, we need to think forward and to be the change markers for a just, equal, and green transition. We should formulate the green transition from a gender equality perspective by empowering women with skills that will enable them to be part of this transition from the very beginning. And developing green skills is a part of a broader challenge to increase the strategic management capabilities of SMEs. We need to engage SMEs in the green skill transition by having broader understanding of how SMEs respond to skills deficits and of their use of informal mechanisms for skills development. Investing in sustainable infrastructure in diverse sectors such as transport, agribusiness, energy, information and communication technologies, where women, our own businesses are dominant, will be leading in the green transition together with all key actors. Women are more likely to invest in sustainable and social areas. Women tend to invest in order to make a clear and measurable positive impact on society, not just to generate profits. While keeping in mind the role that women can play in the green transition, current work is exploring whether finance and investment policies sufficiently take into account the barrier which female entrepreneurs face and pave the way for partnering with their peers in the EU. And dear Adam, thank a lot, and looking forward to engaging in the green skill transition by creating broader understanding on women's needs and their role in the green economy.
Great, thank you very much. It was a very interesting things to hear, to see about the chances and where you see lots of opportunities for the Turkish women who already have lots of skills that can be actually used for that transition. Thank you very much. It was very insightful. Then we will move to Tatiana again, and we'll ask her about her perspective to the role of the women in the green transition. Last week, exactly a week ago, EUROCHAMBRES hosted a webinar of the EUROCHAMBRES Women Network, where we discussed the role of women in businesses during the pandemic. And one of the guests recalled a report that said that in spite of of constituting 52% of Europe's population, women are only 35% of self-employed, and they create only 30% of startups, which is a really big disadvantage. So I wanted to ask you, Tatiana, what's your opinion? Do you maybe see that this green transition is a chance to empower women in as entrepreneurs in a labor market? And do you maybe think that once we learn how to do it, we can also share this experience with our colleagues in Turkey?
Yes, sure. Thank you for this question. And personally, I think that the green economy without the inclusion of gender equality aspect is inconsistent not only with the ILO decent work and gender, which we are all aware of, but also with the 21st century we are living in. So all measures must be taken to ensure that pre-existing gender inequalities are not transferred to the emerging green economy. And the opportunities for women actually in the changing labor market must be identified and grasped. So this is something what we have to agree. This is imperative from where we have to think about that green transition, indeed a huge opportunity to empower everyone, but especially women and women, as it was mentioned, as entrepreneurs, as also as employees. So supporting women's access to the green sector is important for gender parity and for wider economic, social, and environmental benefits. And there are plenty of evidence of that. There is a lot of research, and even EMF at microeconomic level pointed out that productivity gains from narrowing gender gaps across the economy could increase GDP by at least 35%. So if we empower women, we already gain a lot. And of course, someone might say, okay, we see now that the statistics is improving. There are more women in the leading position and entrepreneurship. Why then we don't see more progress? So, and here I want to refer to the some social and some cultural practices which prevail in many countries, which kind of stereotypes which exist there, and barriers which are artificial, completely artificial. So there is this wrong perception, for instance, that women are less suited to technical fields. In emerging economies, notably in rural contexts, there is a little or no technical training for women provided. they are discouraged altogether. So it's not acceptable. And in general, fewer women than men choose to go into STEM still fields, and that would be might be the problem also of information on career opportunities on for female models, for women, for girls also in education. But again, the situation is different from country to country. And of course, there are good examples. There are good examples in Europe when women are supported as entrepreneurs, also supported in the leadership of position, and it also creates kind of a virtuous circle for more women to enter the sector, because they see this role of women leaders, women entrepreneurs, and the girls then also follow this example. So, and at the same time, the organizations, the work environment is adapting for women. So various research shows that the rise of small-scale renewable energy generation and energy efficiency projects, for instance, can give women in rural areas the opportunities to act as energy entrepreneurs and as well as energy users. I can give you a very concrete example, which is, for example, international company Barefoot College, which works worldwide. It's not, unfortunately, not European project, but it's more oriented to emerging economies in Africa, and mostly in Africa. And their perspective is to give this gender role and empower women to help the communities. They do teaching for women in rural areas to design, install, and maintain solar systems that provide electricity and hot water to the villages. So, and this what actually happens in certain countries where cultural norms limit interaction between genders, and women here can easily interact with female end users. So by entering households, by installing green technology, by maintaining this, and etc. So we actually see a huge opportunity and huge niche for empowering women in this new and emerging areas. Then, when we speak about empowerment, we speak about, on the one hand, that what we need is improving women access to employment, and also financial resources support that I've already mentioned are essential, but also other investments. We should see how to invest in women's human and social capital through education, skills development, and to establish and implement quotas to make more women visible in leadership roles. That's unfortunately also the case in many countries still in the European Union, that quotas are necessary. Otherwise, we see that women are somehow given by artificial intelligence, which I was very unpleasantly surprised that even artificial intelligence, when they see who is behind their applicant, a man and a woman, selects a man. So this is already something what we have to think about when we're creating even these instruments which are supported by artificial intelligence. If they are created by men, they are oriented to kind of also male features. On the other hand, for me, empowering women requires a wider system transformation to tackle gender stereotypes and cultural biases. So. And this is actually essential, and we need to design inclusive recruitment practices to facilitate women's entrance to this green sector, and like making common practice to write job descriptions in gender neutral language. We have to think about workplace which is suitable for women, because it's still the case when women are coming to so-called men professions, their environment is adjusted to men who are usually taller, stronger, have bigger hands, and this is not actually helps women to enter this market. And crucially, employers should also enforce zero tolerance policies on sexual harassment and gender-based discrimination. So there are many things which are kind of complex, and we have to look from the holistic perspective. Of course, we can take money and employ women and give them skills and etc. But all the systems should be adjusted to actually to be ready to have women on board. Of course, there is no one-size-fits-all strategy, which could be a strategic point for businesses, for regulators, for organizations across the green industry. Each country is very unique, and maybe we should start from building coalitions that advocate for greater inclusion. We have plenty of women organizations. We have a lot of NGOs working in this area. We have a lot of examples, good practices, and we can't miss to have the potential of women to lose their talents, to lose their creativity, and therefore, altogether, I think we have to look forward to develop joint efforts to shape inclusive policies to invest in human resources development across all the sectors. So, in green sector is probably giving biggest opportunities, because this is something which is emerging, which is developing right now, and it should be developed. It should be immediately put into the right road. Otherwise, it will go wrong direction. So that's from my point. I think this is to summarize, to sum up, it's the whole system. It's not one aspect.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned also like lots of small things, yeah, that make it difficult, and it's for sure difficult to sometimes even see them, and not only thinking about how to change them. So yeah, let's hope that once we change everything, then we can change all small and bigger things. That is great. Thank you very much, and I hope it's not that cold in Lithuania right now, as your background picture shows.
It is. It's exactly. It is like this. We have a lot of snow, and it's freezing.
Okay, that's so. Yeah, that's quite energy efficient. Great. Thank you very much, Tatiana. So now I would like to ask our last speaker, so Manuela Gelling, the Director for Skills from DG Ample from the European Commission. To tell us, maybe it's actually a very good conclusion, because we've been talking now about different perspectives, point of view on skills, on women empowerment, and how we can actually change many things while changing our economy into a greener one. So we wanted to ask you first, because you represent the European Commission, which has all of these very ambitious goals, that one part of the entire transition is also transforming skills of the Europeans. European skills agenda is a part of that. The national plans for recovery and resilience are a part of that. So one of the actions of the European skills agenda is to support the twin transitions. So we wanted to ask you maybe shortly what kind of plans, what kind of tools the European Commission is planning to help improve skills for green jobs in Europe. So please, Manuela.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this discussion. I think, well, first of all, a general consideration on the Green Deal. I think if we want to have a real transition to a green economy and society, it has to, the social aspects are really important, so that we have the whole society and that nobody is left behind in this transition. And that's why I do think that we should speak about skills, because if we cannot ensure that all people have the right skills to master the change, we are doomed. We will not get there where we would like to be. So clearly, if we look at the main initiatives that the European Commission has taken during last year, shortly after the Green Deal, they all put a strong emphasis on what are the two twin transitions, the green and the digital transition. And so is the skills agenda, because we really look at, there are some specific initiatives that target more green, more specifically, but all of the initiatives are actually about how to gear up to manage this change. So the launch of the Pact for Skills, which brings actually together public and private companies, but also social partners, but also public authorities, to do shared commitments about skills. It's about skills of the transition, so where green comes in, and both commissioners Breton and Schmidt have these roundtables with social partners and CEOs of the different ecosystems of the industrial strategy, whether
Manuela, you are muted.
Sorry, I got disconnected, but I see myself again, so I think everything is fine. So I was speaking about the Pact for Skills, so really joining up forces among all important actors to deliver skills for the Green Deal and for the digital transformation. We also proposed a Council recommendation on vocational education and training that Member States adopted last year in November, which really focuses on vocational education and training on green, on the green transition, so on skills for the green transition and also for the digital transition. And then we have some specific actions under the skills agenda that is about creating a classification, so a taxonomy of what are green skills, so that people, that we can better define also what type of profiles are needed to master the green transition, what are the skills that are needed. We are also working on a European competence framework, and we realized that actually we would need to have some kind of indicators to measure the green skills. So we are all working on this aspect, because we do think that it is really important to ensure that everyone has actually the tools to be able to progress on the green skills. And indeed, there are a number of sectors that will be particularly affected. And you have seen certainly the EU Innovation Wave initiative that really looks at retrofitting buildings for improving energy efficiency. And I could go on highlighting many initiatives of the kind where really green skills will be a key to the future.
Great, thank you very much. It's very interesting just to see that EU is doing so many things, and actually you started having you came up with so many new ideas, and it's interesting to see how they are being conceptualized and later developed, and they are certainly going to help all sectors in this transition. But yeah, you started prioritizing in that extent the green transition with the new commission two years ago. So this is quite a new. So we are setting as the EU, as Europe, this example, this ambitious example to other regions as well. So I wanted to ask you concerning our Turkish dimension of this event. Do you have maybe as the European Commission thought about some tools to support neighboring regions of the European Union in joining this this goal of the more greener economy? So what kind of programs, incentives there are for neighboring countries, if there are already some? So it will be very interesting for us to hear if there are some talks or already ideas prepared.
Definitely, definitely. Well, let me first say that, you know, the green transition is something that is new for everybody. So there is actually no magic recipe that one can just sell. I think it's trial by error. We all need to learn from each other and on the way as we progress towards a green economy and a green society. Now, I think we have quite some areas where we can work together with Turkey, and where we have been already working with Turkey. And let me mention Erasmus Plus initiatives that for the next, actually we are in the next programming period, 21-27, has been strongly reinforced because it will be having a budget of 26 billion for education, training, youth, culture, and sports. And I think there are some initiatives that could be relevant also for the private sector in Turkey, which are where we have the alliances for innovation, and the centers of vocational interests. So these are really initiatives where we want to foster really excellence in vocational education and training. We normally bring different actors together, not just different stakeholders, but also we have different member states and also other participating countries in the Erasmus programs. And I'm mentioning this because in the past programming period from 2014 to 2020, Turkey had more than 2007 projects approved. So clearly there is an opportunity there for Turkey to continue engage and be part of this program. And I think we have very good examples stemming from the last programming period of Turkish projects in this field of green. For instance, I would like to mention a project that helped develop innovative training course in winemaking that contributed to the protection of biodiversity. Now, the European Alliance of Apprenticeships that, as you know, was launched in 2013, is also another area where Turkey could be involved, and it has been involved since 2015. And indeed, we have several Turkish organizations that made pledges. That means that they have offered apprenticeship places to their young people. As you know, we have recently relaunched the European Alliance for Apprenticeships because we do think that is the way forward for ensuring that young people find their way to the labor market. So I just wanted to mention these two areas because I do think that we have been cooperating quite closely in the past, and we should really continuing doing so in the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And it's also like a very nice conclusion to our entire webinar, that cooperation is indeed very important, and it was mentioned already by many speakers today. So I would like to thank to all of our excellent speakers today. We looked at skills and at the role of women in green transition from many different angles, from the institutions, from the companies, from associations. So it's really great, and thank you for sharing your opinions and also your experience in many interesting projects. So I think what I'm going to take from today is that, first of all transitions are happening right now, and we cannot really separate them from each other, but we have to also take this transitions as a opportunity for many changes, for good changes. Yeah, because if we are changing so many things in our economy, we can already address other problems, like, for example, the disadvantaged place of women in the labor market or as entrepreneurs. Yeah? And it seems that there's already so many projects that are addressing the environmental issues, and they are also rolling out skills for green jobs. That there's lots of experience we all had. It's great that we embraced it, and there is policy framework, interest of decision makers, lots of programs and funds, as Manuela said, that they've been working, and they're continuing right now, and they are now will be a source of cooperation and also resources for this green transition in the EU, but also in Turkey. And this will create lots of opportunities for business and societal changes on both sides of the Bosphorus and the Marmara Sea. So thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope that you enjoyed our discussion. And I would like to wish everybody a great afternoon and lots of motivation for the green
Mr.
transition.
Gayek, ben bir söz alabilir miyim?
Goodbye.
Sorry, may I please take the floor?
Şimdi ben de çok keyif aldım. Teşekkür ederim. Hanım konuşmacılarımız
I enjoyed it a lot,
çok olunca ve
as we had a lot of ladies presenting, and as the ladies, started to talk about employment as well as gender equality. They had a lot to say, and that's why it gained a little weight in this program. So if you allow me, I wanted to touch on that matter as well. Ladies, women, engagement in business life will naturally bring some dominance in certain fields because of their very nature. For instance, the clean toilet project that was presented by Nurcan, only a lady, only a woman can think about it, and it really worked a lot for those gas stations to be preferred. On one side, this is about social awareness. People started to see that they need to leave the toilet clean, and secondly, it's added a great value to the brand itself. It was an incredible project, for instance, but it can only come from the mind of a woman. When women touch things, they create a difference. Another area where they can create a difference is about creating sensitivity, awareness in certain areas. They are sensitive, they are creative, and they're protective. That's why environment itself and the Green Deal itself really fits the nature of women. And that's why the head of Kagidar talked about women. I felt lonely. I want to say a couple of words on behalf of men. What we request from women is that don't leave this area alone, and empty, because men need your help in this area and cleaning, in a clean world, and the Green Deal. And women need to take initiative. The world needs the women to take initiative about this Green Deal. And you need to leave men behind, and you can easily do that because of your very nature. And men will one day say, you're not treating us fairly or rightly, in this area, because you will have a great weight and you will have a great role in this area. That's why even one day men will say, you are lagging us behind, you know. I do appreciate your comments, and I would like to thank all our speakers for their sensitivity, and I would like to urge everyone here to help the world in this regard. We need you. We do need you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's indeed interesting to hear that. I know that we would all probably be able to speak about these issues for a longer time, but we have to finish because our time is up. So I hope we are all going to support this transition, and thank you to pointing that out. So I would like to again thank all the speakers for addressing us today with your messages, and then I would like to wish to all of us a great afternoon. Goodbye at the next discussion or activity for supporting skills or women in the Green Deal. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
İyi akşamlar efendim. Teşekkürler.
İyi akşamlar.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
evening and thank you. Good evening.